Again, I dare you. I double dare you, mother.
Get busy living. You get busy dying.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
You're gonna need a bigger boat. And here we go.
Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Cult Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Maloof. With me, as always, and in person this time, for the first time,
live and in color,
my co-host Dante Torina. How you doing, Dante?
Good. I got a question right off the rip today. It's been on my mind. I was seeing a lot of tweets about it. 100 people versus one gorilla. Which actors are we taking to take down this fucking gorilla?
The Rock, who we're going to talk about later, I think is like obviously our number one
de facto
pick.
Choice. Yeah, Dave Bautista.
Bautista, maybe? Sure.
Tom Cruise has got to be there, just because, right? Keanu.
Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth, great choice. Yeah, I don't know who else. That's just top of my mind. But I just thought I saw like some of the tweets, like the 2001 Ravens defense and the 2008 Steelers defense, and I was just thinking about what actors could we get up to the task to take down this gorilla. Maybe like Tom Felton, because he's in Planet of the Apes and he has a little shock stick against the apes.
Sure, but that didn't go so well.
He might come in handy. No, it did not go well. James Franco could maybe talk him down.
Yeah,
he has a good relationship with him.
Now you're thinking.
Jason Clarke as well would be a good addition.
I think I just want to go on record here and say that 100 men are not beating a gorilla in a fight. A gorilla.
I think they are.
No,
I think they are.
No,
100 people.
A gorilla would kill 100 people so quickly.
I don't know.
What are you going to do? How are you going to hurt a gorilla with your bare hands?
All it takes is one or two people to get a hold of him, and then it's game over. Like you just trample his ass.
I disagree.
I think I don't think 100 common people could.
I don't think 100 of any
you need
people.
100 specimen.
I don't think 100
Khabib,
Ray Lewis's and
Islam
The Rocks.
Makhachev. Yeah, I think so. I'm all in on 100. Get like Solange, she's good at beating some ass. Like there are some good people that we can get in there. We could use slots. I think even if we get 90 of the greatest specimens, we can have like Seth Rogen and Cat Williams and like Snoop Dogg doing color commentary and just leave them off to the side.
Well, I'm not saying I wouldn't watch, but you'd be watching 100 people get absolutely murdered by a gorilla.
I'd actually want to watch this too. I'd want to see what would.
Oh, I would definitely watch.
Gerard Butler might be a good choice too, and like Russell Crowe.
Well,
they're badass.
From my perspective, the 100 best actors to put out there would be who are the 100 actors we can most afford to lose.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think anyone is going to survive this.
The guy who plays Cherry, Clark Johnson or whatever.
Yeah,
Daredevil,
send him out there.
Send him out there for first line. Who else? Who's just a shitty Amy Schumer?
Who else?
Definitely.
Definitely send her out.
Send her to the ape out there. Can't think of many shitty actors. That's okay though.
Yeah,
I know there are lots of them.
I'm sure we could come up with some if we thought a little bit harder. This is pretty impromptu. We did not study for this conversation.
I think James Franco as a human being can go out there as well.
I think some people would probably want to send James Franco out there. I still got a soft spot for him personally.
I think he would try to talk them down. Like he would think like, oh, I was in the Apes movies. I can talk to him.
Like, remember me, James Franco, from The Disaster Artist. Remember?
Right.
Me? Yeah.
Right.
I was good. People used to like me.
Almost.
I don't know. I don't know what we're
Melissa
doing.
McCarthy. Oh, send her.
I don't mind Melissa McCarthy.
Get rid of her.
She's had some good roles.
The guy that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are beefing with right now.
Sure.
Send him out.
Justin Baldoni.
Just get rid of one side of that. Ryan Reynolds makes more movies that I might watch, so let's keep that side and let's send Baldoni out there to just get this shit over with.
Maybe the writers of Outer Banks, so that show can end.
Yeah.
Send them out there.
Yeah, that'd be very fair.
All the writers of all the Netflix shit that
anybody that's
sucks.
approving multiple seasons of Netflix stuff instead of another season of Mindhunter.
David Zaslav, send him out there.
Get rid of him.
Yeah. Ted Sarandos.
We could clean the industry up. We should think of 100 people to get out of the industry to make it a better place. And I think
make them fight a gorilla.
The Snyder cult as a whole.
Sure.
Just send them out there. They think they can do it.
Yeah.
There's thousands of them. I'd bet on the gorilla.
The Snyder Cult would try to convince you that Zack Snyder by himself could kill a gorilla with his bare hands.
just by not even hands, like staring at it, just like shoot it in slow motion too. Like Jesus Christ! Oh, they worship that guy. He's the blueprint. Got to respect him.
What a way to start this pod off.
What are we getting into today?
Well, we have some trailers to talk about. Since we last recorded, we had a few new trailers drop, mainly the full trailer for Weapons, which I had heard played at CinemaCon in Las Vegas. So I wasn't expecting us to get this so soon. I thought maybe they were going to hold this for a little bit longer after I heard that a real trailer did exist.
I thought they were going to bleed out the marketing campaign because it was a good little, we talked about it before, but the little marketing campaign was fun.
And it's actually, the website has been updated.
Oh, really?
I went on it today, maybrookmissing.com. And there's a new blog post on there that's related to like the official trailer. It kind of goes over like some stuff that happened in the trailer, because I thought we got a lot more revealed in this trailer. Well, obviously we did, right? Because the teaser was was just that.
Yeah.
We got some stuff. So I think the main thing I was focused on was the detail that all of these kids went missing from one teacher's classroom.
Right.
I think that's the
and
pretty
all
interesting
at
wrinkle.
the same time too, like 2:17 a.m.
Yes.
There's already been some speculation, right, about that it might be a Bible verse, different stuff like that. But yeah, all from one teacher's classroom. Obviously, it's Julia Garner. She has a part to play.
Yeah.
Right. Like as an actress, we know she's going to be used in this movie, and as where the plot seems to be setting up for, she's going to have a lot of stuff to do in this movie. So, dude, I'm bought in on Krager completely. I'm so excited that he gets to take Resident Evil. Like it's so cool to me that he's going to be the guy taking the reins of Resident Evil from now on, and hopefully making it into the franchise it deserves to be. And Weapons, like all good publicity right now.
Oh yes,
which is pretty rare nowadays. I think after the whole Thunderbolts campaign having a great campaign, this is the next big one, is Weapons, for just movie that's going to catch us by storm and by surprise of great publicity.
I think it's already getting such great word of mouth.
Right.
By word of mouth, I mean like online chat.
Well, even the Jordan Peele
that's
speculation,
the
right?
whole big thing about like that's been brought up like in response to this trailer was the report that Jordan Peele really wanted to buy this script to produce it.
Right.
And then his agents or his managers, they lost the
They
bidding
fumbled
war
the bag
for this script, and he fired them as a result. So
Yeah.
that's been like making the rounds again.
It
on
must be a
social
legendary
media.
script is the speculation.
Well, it sold for $38 million.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get too crazy hyped for this, like before we actually get close to seeing it. Because people are on Twitter already saying like, this is like a generational,
Right.
This is going to be the movie of the decade. If Jordan Peele had this reaction.
This is going to bring horror back.
Yeah. And I don't know if it will do that. I mean, obviously this looks really, really promising and really good, but I don't want to get too hyped too quickly. I want to just like sit with this for a while and get excited for it. But once the internet starts to like announce that or anoint something as being like, this is the new greatest movie, this is going to be so awesome, and we don't really know what this movie's about yet or what it's going to be, I just don't want to jump the gun, but I am excited.
The poster that they put out today too is just so cool, so mid 2000s. Like the kids disappeared at one time, and it's just the kids running. Like that's a poster from a different time, from like mid 2000s horror, that I think is just really cool. Like I could picture that on like a 2005 movie in a blockbuster, as the movie. And everything's just so cool to me about this movie. I agree with you. I don't want to get too hyped about this, but there's also that part in my brain that's saying like Krager's next up.
Yeah.
Like Krager's the guy to follow now. And so, leveling my expectations is going to be pretty hard, especially knowing on my end that he's taken over one of my favorite franchises, and anything, has me just rooting for this movie.
Another thing I want to point out about the Maybrook Missing website, I guess I saw this when we went on it last week after the teaser, but I didn't really realize it didn't register to me, is that there's another post, like another link on the blog there to an article titled "Underground Prison Discovered in Rental Home."
Right.
So we're already referencing Barbarian. Maybe obviously
it's a universe.
It's like a Tarantino thing, right? Where all the movies are taking place in the same universe.
Yeah.
Not thinking we're gonna like get any direct references to Barbarian or any of those characters that might feel a little out of place, but it's just always fun, like when filmmakers kind of go the extra mile to like, if they think it's cool, right, to say, oh, well, all these movies are taking place in the Kragerverse. I think we can call it the Kragerverse now, perhaps. Just like the whole Tarantino thing where all his movies are all in the same universe too. It's just like a fun thing to do.
Yeah, build your brand. You're a small director right now. You're writing a lot of your stuff. Build your notoriety. Make it mean something. Make it where there's so many people that watch a Tarantino movie and then check off the rest of the list because it's a Tarantino movie. It's not just Kill Bill. It's not just Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's the whole experience of Tarantino. And I think Kreger has the chance to do that. And if he puts out stuff of the quality of Barbarian, it'd be a pretty good universe to check the bucket list with.
Yeah, I think it's just always great when we have these like guys who you can just sell a movie based on their name. You know, the new film from Ryan Coogler, I think, is obviously put himself into that rarefied air at this point. And it'd be really cool if Zach Kreger, a guy who had no clue who he was a couple years ago until Barbarian. It'd be really cool if he can also kind of throw his name in that ring as well. Like the same thing with Jordan Peele. Like, it's just really cool when we get these new auteurs like announcing themselves. It's just always fun. I think it's really good for movies.
Yeah, we still need them. We have Nolan, we have these Villeneuve, these big time directors at this point, but you need the smaller ones that you follow coming up because Coogler just got to his mountaintop, his next apex, and he's only going to keep going. Jordan Peele is damn near a household name now, so we need another one from the ground to follow because Kreger can make his name like that in horror, and that's really cool, and that's a different genre too, which I think is what's really fun, is that it's not action blockbusters. It's not character movies per se. It's horror movies with a new twist on them. Fun. We need good horror directors because it's kind of a genre that no matter what, you're just playing with a losing hand because you're not made for all audiences. You're not playing to the mainstream, and you need to be really clever. What haven't we seen out of horror now? And I think Kreger is someone that can bring that.
Yeah. I'm just really, really excited for this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. August 8th.
August 8th coming up. I would prefer not to see anything else about this movie until we actually get the film. But I'm sure we'll get another trailer of some sort. But I think the marketing at this point has been really smart. And I think everyone behind this marketing campaign knows that to give this movie away or to reveal anything plot-centric would be a huge mistake.
Yeah.
And from everything we've gotten so far in the marketing, it makes me really confident and makes me think that there's a really smart team behind this that is going to do it properly.
Yeah, don't blow the lid. Like, there's a twist somewhere or there's an answer to why all this is happening. Give us that in the theater. Yeah. Don't give us any inkling now. Just let us speculate, let us brew on it, update the website a bit, keep us engaged. But this trailer did, again, a really good job at just telling us the basic premise to get us hooked on the movie. Alden Ehrenreich is in this movie, apparently. Was he in the trailer? I didn't see him.
He was in the trailer for a second. I think he plays a cop, and he was driving a cop car.
Cool.
I did see him on the cast list when we talked about this last week. I knew he was going to be in this movie, but it's cool to see him in the trailer.
One of our guys.
Yes.
One of our guys. Yes. Put him front and center. Good for him.
Moving on to another new age auteur. Let's talk about the Smashing Machine trailer. Something that I've been anticipating quite a while for quite a while. We talked about this, I think, on our episode of anticipated movies for this year. I love the Safdie brothers. I'm obsessed with the Safdie brothers. I think they, again, are some of these guys who are announcing themselves as new age auteurs. They had worked together up until this point. They're now both releasing solo films this year. And the Smashing Machine, I think it looks fucking good.
It looks like what I expected in the trailer. I think, again, I think it looks good. I told you beforehand, this wasn't one that I need to see much of a trailer for because I'm already ready to watch it when it comes out. It'll just be a nice surprise, not surprise, but a little gift for me at the end of the year that I'll enjoy. It looks really good. Emily Blunt's going to steal this movie. I think we're all going to be looking at The Rock and his transformation, but Emily Blunt will remind us who the fuck she is again. Yeah. I feel like every other year she just has some sort of role that just steals a mainstream movie. And in Oppenheimer, she stole the third act of that movie. She's going to make her mark on this one too. Good for her. She's a great actress. Yeah.
Definitely nice to see Emily Blunt, but I was just kind of focused on The Rock in this trailer. He's finally kind of doing something, I think this is what everyone's been begging for. Anyone who really likes The Rock, because I like The Rock. And he's always fun to have in movies, right? He's always fun. But I think everybody who is invested in him as an actor has just been begging, please just do something different, do anything. Because he's been
The Rock.
He's been The Rock. He's been stuck in this character, this persona for so long now. He's the same in every single movie. like pretty much without exception. And so it's just nice to see him doing something just even a little bit different in this movie. He's doing a little bit of a voice. It seems like he's doing a real character. And I think, of course, you can expect that from a movie directed by Benny Safdie, someone who is a very smart filmmaker and who's not just going to let The Rock just fall back on everything he's done before. It doesn't seem like it's anything crazy, something like way outside of The Rock's wheelhouse. But at the same time, he's doing a little bit of a voice. Seems like there's a real character there. And it seems like we're finally going to get him actually like being in a real role and like a real acting role. And it's fun to see.
Yeah, he's The Rock to an insane degree in other movies. You know, Jim Carrey plays some similar version in different movies. Melissa McCarthy, someone we brought up, plays the same version in different movies. The Rock literally is The Rock in every single movie. I don't remember a single character name. You can take screenshots from different movies and he's wearing similar t-shirts, the same fit. There's the jungle behind him or like a big building or something. He's not even changing costumes at this point. He just is. He shows up to set looking like that and they put him into the movie. This is a really cool entry point for him into character acting too, because something he obviously cares about, which is UFC or WWE or, you know, just fighting in general, right? The art of fighting and the struggle that comes with being a fighter is something that he can very much probably relate to on a different level and gives him a chance to pay tribute to someone that I'm sure he probably admires and looks up to. And so it's a really smart move for him to start with this kind of movie into character acting. And maybe he builds from here, maybe he doesn't, but this is a great entry point into his character acting career, hopefully.
Yeah, I think the choice that he made to work with Benny Safdie and to do this movie, that signals a lot. That signals that he's trying to branch out and trying to do something interesting. And it maybe signals like, it's maybe almost like an admittance from The Rock a little bit, saying like, I know I've been doing the same thing for past 20 years or so. And so, the choice to work with Benny Safdie, who I don't think you can talk enough about. He is, obviously him and his brother Josh have made some incredible movies in the 2010s, and like Uncut Gems, Good Time, Heaven Knows What. I mean, these guys are some of the best out right now. And I'm just really happy that even though they're split up, which I don't love, but that doubles our output from the Safdies, right? We're getting 2 Safdie movies in 1 year. Right. So, I was thinking earlier that since they're both releasing movies the same year, we will get to see which one really has the juice. But maybe both these movies are going to be, maybe they both actually do. So like, fuck yeah, that would be even better. Really looking forward to this movie.
I think they'll both be really good movies just from seeing, I mean, the set pics of Marty Supreme have been out there for a while. The pictures of The Rock on this movie as Mark Kerr have been out there for a while. Mm-hmm. I think they both have it. I would be betting on that more than one or the other, or both of them maybe not having it. I think the odds, if you were to poll me or to poll instinct of people that watch movies, I think they both are counting on both brothers, or they're counting on both brothers to have it. Yeah. And this trailer has something to it where it just feels like an A24 movie. It has a similar feel to the Iron Claw, but it's going to be a very focused movie on Mark Kerr individually too. Again, really excited to watch it. Yeah,
I also don't know anything about Mark Kerr. I'm not a huge MMA fan. I watch the pay-per-view sometimes when my brother, Max, who's like a huge MMA fan, I'll watch him with him and that sort of thing. But I wonder how this movie will do with that MMA crowd, if this is going to be the kind of movie that's going to bring in that whole audience with people who know Mark Kerr and who kind of know the history of the UFC. I hope this movie can like do well and bring that audience in. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's $79 for a pay-per-view, so $12 for a movie ticket isn't going to be out of their wheelhouse to spend. And we're getting, we get F1 this year, which brings in that crowd, and then we get the Smashing Machine, which hopefully brings in the UFC crowd too. So that's cool to kind of check your boxes with the audiences as well and give them something to look forward to. Because I think a lot of MMA people point to Warrior, the Tom Hardy movie, as their big, like, inspiring movie that they love for MMA. And now they're going to get a movie that's more recent, right? I mean, Warrior, I think, was 2011, 2010, but they deserve another movie at this point because they're it's an entertaining sport nonetheless.
Yeah. That's all I've got on Smashing Machine. So I guess let's move on to our third trailer, the last one we're going to talk about today, which is Predator Badlands. We just missed this. This came out like the day after we recorded last time.
Yep.
So just missed it, but fuck yeah. Right?
Cool.
Fuck, let's go, baby.
Yeah, gonna be probably an early addition to the movies that rip list on my
Sure.
Letterboxd. Just everything I could want in a Predator Badlands trailer. Looks like we're just getting more Predator, and that's all I need out of a Predator movie.
Yeah,
So.
there's nothing in the way of plot. This is almost like a teaser. This isn't really
Yeah.
even a trailer. We have Elle Fanning here, who this has been talked about a lot, but apparently is playing some sort of Weyland-Yutani synthetic android. So just more hints. I think more hints at crossing over again with Alien versus Predator. Those two
Yeah, I
universes.
think they're getting close to intersecting again.
It was always going to happen. I think when Prey came out and it did as well as it did, even though it went straight to streaming, but like it was a huge
It was a hit.
It was a huge hit as far
for what
as
it
like
was.
I would not a financial hit, but a hit is in the fact that everyone loved it because it was a really good movie.
Yeah,
And then you have Alien Romulus, which also people seem, for the most part, seem to enjoy. We really liked it. And I think ever since, especially Prey, we've heard kind of whispers and like little things about maybe doing another version of Alien versus Predator. And I think this all but confirms that this will happen at some point.
they're just destined to be together. They
Yeah.
really are. Just bring like a good Terminator movie back, and then we're full 80s again.
Good Terminator movie.
which
would
I'd be
awesome.
all into, right? And so you'll never not have my vote when you're just getting a really cool franchise and bringing it back in style. It's exactly what I thought it would be. Trachtenberg is made for this franchise. I think this is another one where the Snyder cult has said that Snyder's the blueprint and they're copying Snyder.
Really?
With a bunch of the shots and how the little saber type things look and all that
God.
stuff. And, it's just, he's always the blueprint. Good for him. He's a fucking genius, man. I wish I could understand it.
But yeah, Predator Badlands, directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who of course directed Prey, and also the director of 10 Cloverfield Lane, a movie that I think we both like quite a bit.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to this one. Not much in the way of plot, like I said. I thought the Predator looked a little different than the Predator
even
from
more
Prey.
primal.
And I think like there was maybe in like some emotion that you could see on the Predator's face that I don't think usually what Predator is more of like a mask, obviously, though he does have a face. You're not really able to read emotion on the Predator's face. And I think in this trailer, you got to see just a little bit of that. So interested to see how that goes. Not sure if I'm going to love that or again, it's like one shot. So I think I don't want to like nitpick it too much.
I haven't done much research, but I would assume this is like origin type movie for Predator. I don't know. Or
Is it?
Takes place on, I don't know much about the movie, but
Let me read you the synopsis.
Okay.
Here. Cast out from its clan, an alien hunter and an unlikely ally embark on a treacherous journey in search of the ultimate adversary.
Okay.
So, whatever that means.
Yeah. So the Predator might be the ally or cast out from its clan.
Yes. I think so. I think he is like...
Well, there's the
Predator's
emotion
outcast.
part, right?
And I also think... I heard rumors that Elle Fanning might also be playing dual roles in this movie. So, like, what a year for dual roles, if that's true. I heard rumors that one, she's playing the Weyland-Yutani synthetic, but then she's also playing a real life person that is like that synthetic might be modeled on.
Okay.
So, yeah, interesting.
Cool.
If true, I think that would be kind of a insane development just for the fact that how many twin movies have we gotten already this year? If we got another one, that would just
That's
be
a
like,
new thing.
something is going on for them all to come out in
They'll
2025.
need to make a studio episode about it for
Yeah,
sure.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. But yeah, Predator Badlands. My enthusiasm for the Predator franchise has been reinvigorated completely by Prey. I was pretty out on it after Shane Black, Predator. And just there really hasn't been a good one since the original Predator until Prey.
I think Prey is the best Predator
I think
movie.
Prey is the best.
Yeah.
Yes, so.
I was so surprised by it because my dad's friend, who is a notorious fan of just below average movies with a little bit of action in them, like he would love the newer Terminator movies. That's right up his alley. He loves like the A-Team. It's just some of these very 2.5-star movies. And he was, oh, Dante, this is gonna be awesome. We're gonna watch Prey the night it came out on Hulu. And it's a Predator, and I was never big on the Predator franchise. And I was like, whatever, dude. Like, I'm just going to fall asleep. And from the first shot, I was glued to the screen because it captured my senses. It hijacked whatever movie fan is in me. It got me and just spoke to me instantly. And it's probably one of my most rewatched movies since it came out. It's just always, there's never a bad time to watch it.
I actually just bought the 4K Blu-ray combo pack of Prey on Amazon because my Blu-ray was like a misprint. It was messed up. Like when I tried to watch it downstairs
really?
on the 4K player, I got about halfway through and then it like glitched out on me. So did some research, found out it was like just a bad pressing. So but the new one's coming, baby. The 4K
That's
and
right.
the Blu-ray.
Yeah, it took forever for them to get physical media of it, and I'll order mine too, actually, because I will watch the hell out of it.
Yeah. So that's all we got for trailers, I think, right? Weapons, Smashing Machine, and Predator Badlands.
Yep.
3 trailers I think we're really looking forward to. And yeah, I think it's all
This
been
year's
good.
shaping up to be really good.
I think it's complete.
We're gonna go from Sinners to Thunderbolts into Mission Impossible
To
and
Superman,
and it's gonna keep bouncing
this could
every
be a
2 or
good
so weeks.
fucking year, huh?
We might be very.
I mean, the
back.
year started off slow, but I think this might really be like a really
Return
strong
to the
second half.
theaters. Yeah.
So hopefully, pivoting now to TV. This is the Cinema Cult podcast, but we continue to talk about TV on this podcast because there are some really good shows out right now that are worth talking about. First up is the latest episode of The Studio. What is this, episode 5?
I think 6. No.
This is episode 6 now? Studio episode 6. This one revolved around
The Shitsplosion.
the Shitsplosion.
That's what.
Yeah, you want to lead us into this episode here?
Yeah, it was the importance of Matt's job. He has one of those important jobs in all the land, not just Hollywood, by being the studio head. It's basically him going on a gala date with a doctor.
Who he's dating.
For who he's dating. For like a kids' cancer foundation at a place where notable movies were shot as well, and arguing back and forth about how important his job is and how important the arts are. This one, I think it just spoke to me.
Oh yeah.
I've been in not situations like this one, but just situations where you're trying to defend film to someone who just does not get it. And it's so frustrating and they don't understand just how important movies are. I mean, we obviously have a podcast, so movies are important to us. But I think we've both been in pretty similar situations, just trying to tune out people who are watching, Housewives on their 77-inch TV. In their basement as well.
Yeah, I think one thing that I think we learned a little bit more about Matt in this episode and about Continental Studios. I wasn't quite sure where Continental Studios kind of fit in, like what a good real life comp for them was, because yes, on one hand they're making the Kool-Aid movie, but they're also funding like Ron Howard's movie, right? And a movie from Olivia Wilde. So we're still like funding real movies at the same time.
Yeah.
But not a lot of them apparently, because they reference like the MK Ultra franchise, and it just seems like it's like some sort of parody of the Marvel universe almost, but even like a worse version of
like
that.
Transformers.
Yeah, like maybe more Transformers, but just a franchise that is like pretty silly, and that the doctors and the people that Matt's talking to don't respect. It's like the what they call like the head exploding franchise or something. I just thought that whole like opening scene was funny where his girlfriend is like, oh no, I haven't actually seen any of these movies, and he's like, oh well, we gotta watch them. Oh well, this is the third one. Oh well, you actually have to watch the fourth because it's a free, and it's all like the convoluted shit.
We've been there.
Because if anyone you try to explain like, how this latest like Marvel film fits into the canon, or even like the other night I was rewatching Rogue One on Blu-ray with my dad, and he's like, so where are we in the Star Wars? Where are we in the timeline here? And I'm like, well, it was before Revenge, or it's after Revenge of the Sith, the last one that we watched together, but it's before the other ones, and it's like you just kind of watched it. I just felt like I've been there before, trying to sound like an insane person trying to explain like film franchise canon to people who don't give a fuck about it.
Right, especially like I think people like us need someone to explain it to, but we also can't stand them sometimes. Like we need to flex our muscles and show that we're paying attention to all this very important stuff. But sometimes it is just like, what is it? where have you been?
Yeah.
You know, like what, you uncultured swine.
Right, and he's like, real, wow, really? You've never seen any of these before?
He's so shocked
Look,
by it.
we'll have to marathon all of them. Like, I have been in that exact same situation before, so
Absolutely.
I feel you, Matt. But yeah, and then he's funding the shit explosion zombie movie with Johnny Knoxville and Josh Hutcherson making a cameo too. Fun to have him in a little cameo in this episode, but
yeah, he got fucked up.
Yeah, he did. So I don't think it's a political satire commentary on what the healthcare industry or something. That was like my favorite line when Johnny Knoxville's in the meeting and he's like, I don't want to lose sight of that.
Right.
You're making the fucking zombie diarrhea movie.
This great auteur Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah.
You know, what a genius he is. It reminds me weirdly of the quote in Oppenheimer when they say like Oppenheimer couldn't run a sandwich shop.
You're right. I
couldn't.
Yeah.
And it's you know, Matt could never be a doctor. The doctors could never be a head of the studio either. You know, there's places for everyone. And in Matt's world, his job is still maybe not as important as saving lives, but then you think about, it's a funny justification where he's like, we make life worth living.
Exactly.
You know, and it's such a great back and forth where you can see both sides of it totally. And I have my own opinion about it, right? But I think it is important to have the arts. And he talks about the statue has one thing on it. You know, it's not about the doctor that invented this. It's about which movies were shot here. Right. Even Giggli's on here. Like, even these crappy movies are on this statue because they were shot here, not your foundation. It's just funny what takes real world significance or culture.
Well, I think this totally opens up the whole can of worms that Scorsese invented, in like 2017, 2018 or whatever, by saying Marvel movies aren't cinema. And this show is like totally, or this episode of the show is totally like interrogating that, because Matt has a whole debate with the doctors about, you know, well, obviously The Godfather's art, right? But this, and he's like, well, you can't say that some movies are art and some movies aren't art, right? And he's obviously getting really offended. Like, and I think a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on that.
Oh yeah.
I'd probably fall somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you can say that. It's just a slippery slope, right? Because once you say one movie isn't art, then like, well, where's the line?
Yeah.
But I think we can all agree that fucking Sharknado is not art in the same way that The Godfather or Interstellar or something like that is.
There's levels for sure.
Right? So I just thought it was really funny that they're continuing to like satirize and talk about and interrogate all like the stuff that surrounds like mainstream, like Hollywood culture today, like movie culture. Like, people have this debate every day, I'm sure. And it was just really fun for them to work it into the episode.
It's funny when you're watching something, you know, like, this is art. Let's take Predator and Prey, for example. You know, the 2016 Predator movie, maybe not art.
Which fucking good.
Prey, art. You know, it has, you know, establishing shots and different things going on in it. Spider-Man Lotus, the fan film, not art.
Never seen it.
The Spider-Man franchise, the Spider-Man 2, art for sure. And it's funny, like, art to me is wherever like 3.5, 3 stars is on my letterbox. You know, right? It's my own personal opinion.
It's a personal thing, because you can't, I don't know if it's fair to say that just because I don't like this movie that it's not art. Right. Because it's just such a slippery slope. Yeah. And I don't really think there is an answer. It's paradoxical. It's paradoxical, but it works.
Yep.
Right? So, yeah, it's just really, really hard to like, it's just a hard conversation to have, because then you start like contradicting yourself and like starting to think, well, what do I actually think is art? You know, where is the line? So yeah, I don't know. I'm still not sure.
We should take franchise and define that.
Yeah, I think where the line is.
I think that'll be a really fun time. Have you ever Matt breaks a bone in his hand. Have you ever broken a bone in your hand?
I have.
Hurts like hell.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know I did it at the time.
Oh, you don't realize how much you use your hands until you actually break a bone, because you think you use your hands a lot. And then I broke 3 bones in my right hand, and how much I use my right hand is unprecedented, right? Until I broke it. So Matt's going to be in a rough spot with his cast on his pinky there.
Yeah. We also, this was pointed out to me on Twitter. I didn't pick it up right away watching the episode, but the Texas switch that they pull off when, right before Matt falls into the table, because he walks in front of the camera and then the camera pans left. And then when we pan right again, he's been switched with a stunt double, and the stunt double falls into the table. Oh, cool. And it's just like them using like cool like old school
Yeah,
filmmaking
tricks,
techniques,
yeah.
you know, and like that's obviously what this whole show is about.
Yeah, the attention to detail is awesome.
Yeah, so just another fun episode of this show. Like, I just love the variety we're getting here.
Yeah.
Like, the show does not feel like it's doing the same tricks over and over. And it's been written with a lot of thought and care. And it's just like constantly fun to see where they go each week.
It's pretty cool because to me, it's not something that I need to rush to every week, which maybe I want it to be. I want it to be that weekly appointment. But I also like that, you know, I watched this 2 days ago, not on Wednesday night, because I watched it when I found time for it, because I just enjoy it for what it is when the episode's there. And it reminds me of like watching Atlanta, where it's like 22,
Yes.
25 minutes.
Yes.
And
So glad you brought
it's
that up.
such short episodes, but it's such a full, like that did not feel like 20 something minutes.
Right.
But then time wise, it was 27
it's
minutes.
the same with Atlanta, though, where it is like episodic, right? Like
Right.
every episode is
Right.
a new plot. It's a new story.
Yeah.
These characters
You're
are
just
getting into
picking them
new
up where you
things.
left them off.
Yes.
And let's see where they go.
And you know, I have been thinking that, and I've forgotten to mention it when we've talked about this on the mic, but absolutely, this is like almost like a spiritual successor to Atlanta in a
Yeah.
way, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously about very different
Surrealism.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of surreal. It's really funny. It's really witty. Very irreverent at times. But just the feel of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it, but like this definitely feels like Atlanta to me. And it's
Fits in.
probably the show I've enjoyed most since Atlanta. I think that's probably
Yeah.
one of our favorite shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like amazing TV. Like Atlanta was fucking awesome, and I'm so sad that it's gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I just love. It's just this kind of show where you just pick it up each week. Something new is happening with these characters. It's not like this all the serialized stuff like we're going to talk about later with The
There's
Last
not
of Us.
super high stakes.
No, there's really no
No
stakes
at all.
It's not like The Last of Us where we're enjoying that show. It's much more serious. It's a narrative told over a whole season. It's just like so much different. And I think like we've gotten so much of that on TV
Yeah.
the past 5-10 years, like with prestige TV, all these dramas and all this stuff that is trying to do like a 8-hour movie, basically, you know? And all that stuff is great. I think people are really liking that. I think that's what people have come to expect from TV more recently. So it's just so fun when we get a show like this, like Atlanta, that just completely goes the opposite way and goes back to like old school TV, where it's like you just tune in each week to see what are my characters going to get into this week. And it's just so cool.
You break your hand in The Last of Us, you know, the zombie might eat you. Like you might, you know, there are consequences when you break your hand in The Last of Us. When you break your hand in the studio, it's a punchline and you're wrapped up in the cast.
Exactly.
And he might be in the cast next week. He might not be. And I'm not going to care about the accuracy of that. Whereas the next week in The Last of Us, I expect to see the character who broke their hand with a cast as well and expect it to have consequences. So it's fun that every little line of dialogue does have attention to detail in it. And there are inter-episode like consequences to actions in the episode that as a whole. But there's not something that I feel like I need to just be locked into and it's going to pay off in episode 8 if I pay attention to episode 2. And maybe it will wrap back around, but it is fun to just watch TV and enjoy it and not think, do I enjoy this or not? I just do.
This is like peak TV for me. This is what I go to TV for. I like the
Or the
serialized
nice release,
narratives
yeah.
and the, you know, that sort of thing. I mean, obviously we love Succession. We're really enjoying The Last of Us. But it's just always fun to just have like a lighthearted, like comedy that's just not going to take itself too
A
seriously.
go-to release.
And yeah, it's just like, always love it. I want to just shout out Rebecca Hall too in this episode for, obviously we know it's Rebecca Hall, but this show does a really good job and all the actors in the show do a good job where if they're not playing themselves, they don't feel like themselves. You know, like obviously our main characters, they're not, Seth Rogen is like always kind of Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
But like Rebecca Hall in this episode just felt like the doctor. She did not feel like, oh, is she playing herself? Like, where is this? Is like not like what's going on here? It just felt like she was the doctor. And yeah, I mean, you got to have someone in there that's not like too famous to where it's distracting that they're not playing themselves. There's like a fine line to walk with a show like this, and I think they did it really, really well. So, yeah, hats off.
Yeah, they're balancing their hyper version of reality with their hyper version of reality and their own fantasy world in there. I think I agree with you where this feels like Atlanta in a way where Atlanta can be the Atlanta of that universe, and this can be the Hollywood of
Sure.
that same universe.
If they're in the same universe,
in our
that'd be
canon,
awesome.
because that's probably what Hollywood would be like in Atlanta's universe.
Yeah.
It would be even more over the top and ridiculous,
Can
and
we
giving
get
us this insight into
the
it.
studio versus Atlanta, like Alien versus Predator, that would be a hell of a crossover.
Yeah, Paperboy's cleaning him up.
Paperboy coming
He's
in
cleaning
there.
him up.
Yeah,
He's mucking, baby. Massage.
maybe they're bringing Paperboy in to do like a song for a movie or something, get him on the soundtrack.
Oh, he'd be great.
And
Yeah.
Ern's going to be like an EP. He's going to try to get himself an EP credit.
Could see it happening.
And Darius just like somehow wanders onto the set and like ends up like playing a part in like a crucial scene somehow, getting cast like off the street or something.
Like he's a natural.
Yeah.
I could imagine Darius and Ike Barnholtz's character running into each other.
I like that.
And just having this little spin-off adventure too.
Yeah.
And doing something like buying the dogs in Atlanta to selling the cell phone to buy a dog, you know. Great shows. We're happy to have them. Did we want to talk quickly? We were lucky enough to see, and you brought up talking about Star Wars franchise with your dad. We were blessed to see Revenge of the Sith.
Yes, we should mention that
theaters.
before we get into The Last of Us. We probably should mention Revenge of the Sith, first of all, made like $25-30 million this weekend.
Yeah.
On a re-release of a fucking 20-year-old movie.
That's what the people want.
People want to go to the movies and have a good time. Like, I was seeing so many videos of people like lightsaber fighting in front of the screen after the credit, during the credits, and obviously all the cheering, like the stuff
Long live the Empire.
Long live the Empire. We had one guy, our screening was not
juice.
Had no juice in it whatsoever. There was not like the fan culture that we saw in all the videos on Twitter and stuff. And I think if we had gone to a theater in like a different location, like in a more metropolitan area, you would have had people showing up at the lightsabers and cheering and doing all the meme lines and stuff. We didn't really get that in our screening, but it was still really fun. There was one guy trying to long live the Empire, trying to hype us up, but it just
he started trying too hard,
and it was a little embarrassing at a certain point. But I was so happy to be there, though.
The best part was Obi-Wan standing in the shell door with his hands on his hips. Like, that the whole theater cracked at that, and then Hello There got a pretty good pop too. Actually,
you could tell there were a lot of fans in there that were like ready for all the lines, but they
were taking it seriously.
Yeah,
they were.
Yeah.
They were there to see the Revenge of the Sith and experience it. I think it was your first time watching it in theaters.
It was.
This was the first PG-13 movie I was allowed to see in theaters.
Really?
I went with my dad, David Skidmore, and had a great time.
You were like 4 years old.
I was 4 or 5, yeah, and I remember being absolutely hyped, and I was able to talk them into it. Like, come on.
See, I don't remember going to the theater. My parents aren't big, like, movie people in general. They enjoy watching movies, but they're not like your dad who's going to like take you to the premiere of a Star Wars
He has a film
movie.
degree. He's never used it, but he has a film degree.
Exactly.
Yeah, so he is, if there is, especially as a kid, if I was bought into something, he was cool with taking me to the movies. He was cool with showing me Lord of the Rings when I was 3, 4, 5 years old, because the kids experiencing cinema. So.
I mean, I definitely do remember having like a Revenge of the Sith themed birthday party when I was like 7, 6 or 7, a few years after this movie came out. So I don't think I had ever seen it in the theater. I don't think my parents took me to see it in 2005. So yeah, a great treat to see it in the movie theater. Yeah. Fun seeing it with my dad and his friend Steve, who don't really know anything about Star Wars. They had both claimed that before the movie, I think they both said they hadn't seen this before. And then after, I think maybe they said, maybe I do remember seeing that when it came out, but I didn't remember it. Steve said, I don't think I never knew how Darth Vader came to be, which I thought was a fun reaction there.
I think your dad was like upset that we were asking so much. He's like, yeah, I've seen it. Of course I've seen it.
I don't think he definitely had.
And then we're walking in, he's like, I might not have seen this before. But he saw it on the... And then he was asking me questions the whole fucking movie about like, who's that? Who's that? And what's this? And he was shocked that he didn't understand the Jedi are celibate and are monks.
Right,
basically.
we had to explain that.
So he was like, yeah, Padme, damn, she's beautiful. Like, I'd be getting up in that every day. I was like, good for him discovering Natalie Portman through this movie. And he was talking during the climax too, right? With the lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin. And I was like, about to be like, God damn it, man. Like, let me experience, this is what we came for, right? It is the final scene of the movie, is what we really came for. You said it best after the movie. What you said, like, it's the worst or the most flawed.
The most flawed 4-star movie I've probably ever seen, which just to say that This movie probably doesn't actually deserve the 4-star rating I give it. I
Absolutely
have
not.
given it, but I'm still giving it that 4-star rating. Anyways, because the charm and the nostalgia.
It's the best bad story I've ever seen.
It is very poorly acted, save for Ewan McGregor. No one else, I think, is acting well. Hayden Christensen, Natalie Portman, even Ian McDermott and Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson might be doing okay, but the dialogue is pretty bad. There are like 1,000 screen wipes and the transitions. Like what was the transition from some really serious scene?
Wasn't it C-3PO to Padme?
I thought it goes from Padme, like a really serious scene, and then it's like a screen wipe, but it's like a circle to C-3PO.
No, it's vice versa. It's the shrinking circle around C-3PO,
and
right?
Then it cuts to Padme's funeral,
it's him saying,
right?
"Oh dear," and then it's Padme's
like,
funeral.
what the fuck?
They just drop you right in. It's you said it too, like it's very Return of the King, where it has a ton of endings, but it ain't Return of the King.
Because Return of the King is like a masterpiece of cinema, and Revenge of the Sith is a fun movie that everyone has a good time in, but we can both admit is not that great.
I forgot
that's like all the prequels.
I forgot this was well, that's just because you're so beautiful. I forgot that line was in the movie.
I'm just
it's
so because I'm so in love with you.
Yeah, right.
Come on, bro.
Natalie Portman, awful performance.
Great actress, but they fucked her over in this movie.
I feel horrible for her, knowing like, and she didn't just become a great actress. She was in Leon the Professional and in Heat in her small scenes. Like she was a good actress from a young age, and seeing her like this just. It's kind of a shame.
I don't think they did any second takes. I think they just said the lines once, and George was like,
they needed Fincher on set.
Let's just keep going. But yeah, I mean, obviously we both have a huge soft spot for Revenge of the Sith. We love Star Wars. We can both agree that the prequels are not great movies. Attack of the Clones is like a pretty objectively bad movie. Phantom Menace I have come around on in the years, and I think that's really what I find most interesting about this whole like re-release of Revenge of the Sith is just how much people have turned around on the prequels. You know, like even when The Force Awakens was releasing, there was not this kind of love for the prequels. People still were of the opinion that the prequels were pretty shitty, and they had maybe some cool moments, but they were pretty mismanaged by George Lucas, and full of bad dialogue and pretty shoddy special effects at times. And now people have totally turned around on them. And I think obviously some of that is because these are the Star Wars movies that a generation of people our age have grown up
glasses,
with,
absolutely.
right? And nostalgia is very, very powerful. But yeah,
Clone Wars animated show has done so much for these movies in actually exploring the themes that they're trying to tell. And then you realize, like I realized about halfway through the Clone Wars, oh, this is a really great story about Anakin, and they build a lot on his character in the Clone Wars. And I definitely agree that Anakin in the Clone Wars, in the movies, and as Darth Vader are three entirely different characters. But because of the Clone Wars, you can start to see the byline and where they want to take it with him being a slave as a kid, and then feeling like a slave or held back by the Jedi, and then being a slave to his own bad decisions, breaking off the table and yelling no in his cuffs in James Earl Jones, RIP's voice, and then being the slave to Palpatine. Like, what a horrible and sad life he lived. And they just didn't hammer what they needed to. It's just a trilogy of weird choices. And that's what makes, I think, the final scene so poignant, is that George Lucas is telling the story he really wants to tell at that back scene. Like, even as bad as the dialogue is, Ewan McGregor is bringing it all out. You were my brother, Anakin. Like, you feel that, and you feel that there's a lot of care behind George Lucas's writing for that moment. As corny as some of the lines are, he is very much telling the story that really matters to him. It's just crazy that, did he want to make a trilogy? Did he want to, there's so many decisions where I almost wish, it's a weird wish, but I almost wish they could remake these somehow and just reorganize them around and make them more coherent with the first three movies. But knowing Disney, that's A, not going to happen, or B, not going to happen correctly. But it almost does feel like one of the best cases of where we might need a remake. Don't remake Harry Potter, remake this. Cash in on these missed opportunities, because people love this story and this script. And while it would be weird not seeing Hey Don't Act Again playing Anakin Skywalker, there's something in our heart there that just loves him, no matter how bad he is in these movies. But there's also something to me that just says, wow, what missed potential with this story, because there is a good story there underneath it. I
mean, George, for better or worse, got to make the movies that he wanted to. And that's all you can say about that, right? Like, he got to make the movies he wanted. The Disney stuff, we don't need to get into all of it now because it's just people just screaming into the void, but some of it's good, some of it's pretty bad. Watching Rogue One again the other day, which I wanted to rewatch because I'm watching the second season of Andor, which is a great show.
Yeah.
Rogue One is probably the third or fourth best Star Wars movie, period, in my opinion. It's really, really fucking good. And it's just crazy that is the best Disney Star Wars has been. To me,
and
anyway,
the most Star Wars it's been.
It's the most Star Warsy. It's the best it's been. And yeah, the whole Disney thing has been a mixed bag, I guess you could say. But I'm just really, it kind of warms my heart to see the love that the prequels have now, especially Revenge of the Sith, because Hayden Christensen was so shit on.
Hated.
He fucking everyone was hating on him so much. But it is not these actors' fault that their performances were bad, because George Lucas gave them no chance to be good. He gave them terrible dialogue. Yeah. He's the director, and the actors aren't performing well, then they shouldn't have been cast in the first place. Except for Ewan McGregor is a shining star throughout this entire trilogy. Ewan McGregor, I'm not talking about you. Movie. Yeah, he is. He's in a Shakespearean tragedy. He is really doing real acting work. And there are some moments where I think Hayden Christensen's performance has definitely grown on me over the years, because at a certain point you just can't see anybody else in that role.
Right.
But it's just been really nice to see how everyone has totally turned around on him. He's coming to all the Star Wars conventions now. He's going and surprising fans in the theater before they see the re-release of this movie. He's doing press for the movie that was released 20 years ago.
Yeah, do you think he thought that he would ever get to this point? No. Definitely not, right?
So it's fun. He seems very pleased and very heartwarmed by the whole thing. So that's really fun to see.
Well, and he was never bitter either, or you didn't understand my art. There was never quotes that came out like that, or bad disdain for the franchise. He always wanted to deliver a great performance, and he got to play Darth Vader as he got to play Anakin Skywalker. And whether we like it or not, when I like it, he is Anakin Skywalker to us. No matter what we think of his performance, that's who Anakin is. That's the look. Exactly. That's the guy. So it is pretty cool to see the reassemblance around this movie and the love for it. I had some quick notes just from the theater, some stuff that I noticed, because I think even watching this movie at home, I maybe like it a little bit more watching it at home, because I can check out mentally for a bit and do things on the side.
Sure.
Where when you're locked into a theater, it's a pretty long movie.
It is. We really felt the length, I think, sitting in the theater.
Definitely. Noticing the sound effects more, they were deep in their bag. You could tell the sound effects department was having a blast. You could never say that
Star Wars movies are not incredibly well crafted when it comes to sound design.
Right. And they were just emptying. They were pressing every button on the keyboard. Every sound effect that exists, they were using it for this movie. The set pieces, I think, are still fun. Seeing them on the big screen. So much exposition. So much clunky dialogue. So many logical leaps in the story. Just him flipping on a dime, it feels still is something to me that has always been just off when you watch it. Goofy transitions, which we talked about. And then John Williams' score, which I always knew was great. We both always knew was great. But John Williams' score carries this movie, and seeing how long those score pieces really were and paying attention to that this time with the better sound system was awesome. There's some 7-8 minute tracks in here. Not just one or two, not one big finale track. There are times in the movie where the score is just going throughout it. And the sway and the ups and downs of the score and the way it carries scenes is just so cool to me, because it makes scenes have momentum to them when you're getting these weird transitions and this over exposition, and every scene starts with someone talking about something that they need to know for the plot.
Yes.
It's just really badly crafted from a technical standpoint of the story. But from the technical standpoint with the score and the sound team and the CGI, it's great. It still looks pretty damn good on the big screen.
Yeah, I don't think this re-release change my opinion of this movie at all. I think I've been of the opinion of this movie for a while that while I can admit, like I said, I can admit that it is a flawed movie. It's still a movie that I enjoy quite a bit and I enjoy watching. And you kind of like almost love it in spite of or because of the flaws.
Yeah.
And I think that's like what can be said about all the prequels is they have like a weird campy charm to them that you love them because they're so silly and stupid sometimes. This is
they're still Star Wars.
They're still Star Wars.
They are.
And this is the most serious of the prequels, and I think this is widely considered the best of the prequels.
Yeah, not even close to me.
But just a really cool experience to go see this in the movie theater. Yeah, I had never seen any of the original. I've never seen any of the original movies in the theater. I've never seen the prequels, only the Disney ones until this point. So quite a fun treat to go see this in the movie theater.
This and Goblet of Fire were the first two like adult type movies I was allowed to watch in the theater. But yeah, you're right. Insane meme per capita ratio, insane meme per runtime.
What that I think has really helped turn the goodwill around on these movies. It's like making fun of them.
They are so goofy.
And making them so goofy and like pointing out all the silly memes and stuff. Like that has totally like created its own kind of culture around the prequel.
There were times where I was just genuinely laughing at the movie.
Right.
But I love it. I just do.
It's like a meme every like couple minutes, whether it's this is where the fun begins, another happy landing, hello there. Obviously we could go on and on, but
we could annotate the movie the whole time through. Do it.
That's the best one.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary, great time.
Still great, still awful, still everything we love about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Moving on to The Last of Us, season 2, episode 4.
Yeah.
Right.
Episode 3.
4.
Episode 3.
Is this episode 3?
Yep.
Right. No, yeah, of course. Because episode 2, Joel got fucking killed, which we knew was going to happen. Our friend Maya was texting me yesterday saying, I just watched the second episode of The Last of Us. What the I didn't know that was going to happen.
Seeing, we talked about in the last episode, but the deterioration of society around watching this show is so funny. And the people still shocked about like, how'd you keep this a secret? Because hats off to video game players. They kept this a secret pretty well still. This is a big episode because this is the rebound episode. This is the one that has to get us reinvested in the story or where we're going. This is where the game to me started to show a little bit of cracks in its structure. I'm replaying the game right now. I love the story of the game. It has a weird structure. It just does. And the show needed to fix that. And I think all in all, they did an okay job with this episode in redirecting where the story wants to go and very much showing that they're going to set up more and go more into depth with some of the side characters here.
Well, at this point in the game, you're playing as Abby, right? Do you switch over
flops
to
a bit
Abby?
back and forth. It's
pretty quickly.
Well, Tommy runs off
Okay.
into Seattle first after after Abby. So Tommy runs off first, which I always thought was just, I like the tie that they made to him have to Jackson in this and being the defender of the town. And guess what? We talked about it last week where people were saying he's not going to feel any grief for Joel's death, or it's so important that he's there for Joel's death.
Of course he
You know what the first scene was him looking at Joel's dead body and trying to clean it. You know, oh my gosh, he's his brother. You know, what's our literacy rate here? Like what's our media literacy? I like Tommy's arc a lot better. This is where we're starting to go off on the lesbian hobo murder rampage and then flipping back and forth with Abby and playing up to.
Yeah, I guess I thought I made it a little bit further into the game than I did because when watching this episode, I'm like, fuck, I did not remember playing any of this.
This is where they changed quite a bit. There's no 3-month time gap or time jump either. How'd you feel about that? That was something that I was just kind of like, what's the point?
I wasn't expecting it.
Why is she in the hospital for 3 months? What kept her there for 3 months?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's because they need her to recover from her injuries and also to let Abby and the wolves get away. So Ellie can't go after them immediately. I guess it's just a function of being a TV show and not a video game, is we need to kind of extend this narrative over the course of the season.
To me, it felt like it did nothing for the story.
No,
we're still in the same exact place we would have been with a 1 week time jump. It was just a weird 3 months. I think the only thing that they wanted to do was clean up some of the Dina and Jesse romance, where implied in the games gets pregnant before and she was drinking during the start of the pregnancy in the game. If you look at the timeline of it, I think they wanted to stay away from that. Maybe where I don't think there was a controversy, but I don't think they wanted to open the doors for that kind of stuff. I have no clue.
My main question with this episode is I don't know anything about this like cult of people in the woods with scars on their cheeks. Was that in the game?
Yeah, you just kill them.
You just kill them?
Like they're very much the third thing in the game, or
Can you give us a little bit
faction.
more? Like, who are these people? What are they called? What's
they
going
worship
on?
like
Talk about a
they're
prophet,
trying to
right?
go to Seattle to worship one of the characters that's coming up, and that's the thing in the game is they have the little slits on their cheeks too. That's about all that's developed of them in the game, though. It's very underdeveloped in the game.
And they got killed in this episode.
They got killed quick.
We're assuming
by the wolves.
They were killed by the wolves, by Abby's crew, but we have not
Yeah.
seen that yet. So
Yeah.
could have be anyone, I guess, at this point. I don't think it's fair to say that not a lot happens in this episode because we don't necessarily need like a big action set piece like last week.
I really liked that it sat in it and it gave it time, because in the game you get I get the game like you instantly want to get revenge as the player, but they got so quickly into Joel's like, how are we going to avenge him? And I like that we had 30, 45 minutes to sit around in that just disgusting feeling of Joel.
I think you definitely need your viewers, especially viewers that didn't know Joel was going to die. You have to have an episode of mourning, basically. You have to process it over the course of an episode. I enjoyed this episode, though. I thought there was some great cinematography in this episode, some really striking shots, especially towards the end when you kind of have them framed, Ellie and Dina against the sunset when they visit Joel's grave. I'm really liking Catherine O'Hara's character, too. She's
me, no.
No, you don't like her?
Just not adding much to me. Just like I think she's there for a lot of exposition to have the characters say how they feel a lot of time, or to say how they don't feel, and then turn around. And I like that shot of Ellie in the hallway, coming out of the room with her, and like her face instantly turning, like showing, you don't need to see it to know, but it is cool to see it and know, like, yeah, she's not okay at all.
Yeah, I guess I just like Captain O'Hara's performance. I think she just brings a little bit to this show, something. They're just like a fun little side character. I liked her moment watching the T-ball game and just
she was
Tiger's up beer, being like, oh, Jesus
holder.
Christ. Yeah, said, I was a Tiger season ticket holder, and these guys aren't that far off from the 03 squad.
Right.
That was just funny, a fun little moment, but she's not adding a ton to this season, I guess, but...
No.
I enjoyed her.
She's not hurting it for me. It's just that I'm not.
Episode.
I really want them to develop up Dina and Jesse and the side characters, where in the game they just feel so much along for the ride, and I want them to continue to pour their resources into Tommy and into Dina and into Jesse and into Abby even, and give us more of that, because that's what's going to really, as far as the story goes, that's what's going to really matter at the end of the story, is how much we're connected to those characters. So I want them to pour all their resources into those characters.
But yeah, I didn't really have a ton of like solid thoughts on this episode, other than like this is more of a build up episode for us. We're building towards the confrontation, which we will eventually get between Ellie and Abby.
Next week's going to be really fun.
Yeah,
with what the preview looked like and where they're at kind of in the game. Next week, I think, is going to be a really good time.
So I played the game about 2 years ago, so I can't really remember how far I got, but I think this is about as far as I made it, was getting Ellie and Dina to Seattle.
Yeah.
I think that's where I left off. So for me, and I didn't really know where this episode was going to go either, so I think from here on out in this season, I'm going in blind just like anyone else. So,
well, this is a hard episode, but it's a necessary one. To sit in that and to have, it is just such a building block episode, where this is not the episode that you're going to look back on season 2. It's like, oh, this is where the show really found its footing, or really, shine through with everything. Like, that's not what this episode's meant to be. This episode is meant to propel the plot forward into, basically, it's kind of weird. It almost feels like, I guess you could say, second or third act of the story already, just getting into the meat of the story so quickly, because Joel's death feels still so out of place in the beginning of the game, or the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
It's still it's a shocker, right? It's the inciting event of all inciting events. It's still just a ballsy choice, and they have to recoup this story and keep us going forward without him. Do you see the credits? His name wasn't in the credits, and Ellie's standing alone at the end of the credits.
No.
At the end of the opening credits, usually it's Ellie and Joel, like as the two plants growing up at the end, and there was only one plant.
I did not
at
pick
the
up
end.
on that.
I saw it the first thing is Pedro Pascal's name's always the first one, and the first name was Bella Ramsey.
Okay.
And so this is her show now. A couple like cliff notes for me. I still just think like I like Bella Ramsey's performance. I don't even buy that she's 19 in this show. It's
I was thinking
crazy
that
to
too.
me that she's portrayed as 19 because I just don't think. I think Ellie in the game even she's 19, but she just looks older than 19 even in the game, and she's matured so fast because of the environment around her. I don't feel the 5-year gap in this show as much as I felt it in the game. But that's nothing against her performance. It's a great performance. And that scene with her putting the coffee grounds on Joel's grave and knowing the significance of that from the game where he's trading for coffee and it's super valuable was a sweet scene. Isabella Merced, great actress. She's got that Monica Barbaro in her. She's charismatic, dude.
Yes.
I think a lot of people really like they have great chemistry, Dina and Ellie, and those two actresses, Bella Ramsey and Isabella Merced. A lot of people were really mad with her saying she's not a lesbian. People sometimes say things that they don't mean too, right? Like Dina would never say or never deny being a lesbian. Do you think every lesbian or every gay person or every person that's having a sexual awakening in their world always just says exactly what they mean to the person they're having that awakening about?
Right.
Probably not. So they're giving us more scenes with those characters. We can't make it a 1-to-1 remake of the game. There are things that people did not like about the game that they're now claiming they like about the game. Wrap your head around it. And I think my main takeaway was that I still haven't made up my thoughts about how I feel about a lot of this. It's 5 years later since Joel died during the pandemic, right? It was released in a dour year. It's a not a fun game to play whatsoever. It's a bad trip to Seattle. It's a bad trip down this path of vengeance. But it's a good story. I really still do like the story. It's just not told in the best way. But I don't know what the best way is to tell that story yet. I don't know what notes I have. So seeing the show play out is fun for me because I'm seeing, Neil Druckmann, the writer of the game, his hands are all over the show too. So I'm seeing what he's acknowledging or changing. And there's a scene with Dina and Ellie in the first episode, the dance scene. That's not till like the final 20 minutes of the game that you see that flashback. And it just doesn't hit the same there. It's just it makes sense why she's having the flashback and it has an emotional hit. It just doesn't hit the chord that it needs to. You can show it and then have the flashback or have a little bit of both. They tried a lot in the game, I think, to mix up the plot for the sake of mixing up the plot and showing us flashbacks. And I like that in the show, they're going to do that. They've planted the seeds of doing that. They've denied certain scenes have happened, which they will happen at some point because they have to happen. Like Joel and Ellie maybe conversing after the fight that night or having a rekindling. But they're not telling us everything. And they're treating the audience members like we're smart. I've seen a lot of discourse that makes me lose a little bit of faith in that. But for me, I really like the show. I want this show to be really good. I want to tell what I think, again, is one of the most ballsy stories of the 20th century or 21st century. Sorry. It makes sense that Joel died. It's never been an easy choice. It's never been something great to swallow. Right. But it makes such an interesting story and it's such a part 2 where there's going to be a third game. There just has to be. And Druckmann's acknowledged that he's writing a third game and settled on a theme for it. And it's coming down the pipeline at some point. The story's not complete. And I think a lot of what we might gripe about with Last of Us Part 2 will be resolved in Part 3. And it is very much Ellie's story throughout this unwritten third game yet. And I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt that it'll have good writing because they just have had good writing so far. So I have a lot of thoughts on it. But my main thought is that I still haven't made up my mind.
Yeah. My prevailing thought through this season so far has been Dina is probably my favorite character in this season. Isabella Merced just is very charming, very charismatic, also incredibly attractive. So that doesn't hurt it too.
Yeah.
She's killing it on all levels. So she's probably been my favorite part of this second season so far. So interested to see where her character goes.
Well, and her character is fun in the games, but she just kind of withers into the background of the story. And they've very much talked about in the behind the scenes stuff that they love Isabella Merced as the actress. I think they're going to use her a lot more going forward, and they're setting up for that. So I agree. When she's on screen, there's this electricity, and they have great chemistry, the two actresses together. I said it like she has that Monica Barbaro in her, where it's like that gravitational force in the story where maybe her character doesn't deserve as many scenes as she's getting just because she's such a good actress. That's been really cool to see because Dina does just fade into the background. She's very much a first act character, and I don't think they're going to do that here, which is important for how we're going to end up in the end of season 2 or 3. However, they're doing the one game into 2 seasons, maybe. One thing that I want to say as well is I'm not buying into Joel being as bad as they say. I still think the games did that much better where Joel was a bad guy, unquestionably. In the show, I like Pedro Pascal. I still like Joel. I understand the decision he made was awful in that hospital and incredibly selfish. They have not hammered on that decision enough for me. And they have not justified him being this piece of shit person that deserved to die, to me. I think they could do a bit more, or could have done a bit more with Joel in the beginning of the season, or shown a bit more of the I saved her mentality where it breaks his heart to save her. And that decision and how it drove him and Ellie apart through the years because she slowly finds out the decision that was made. So maybe in some flashbacks, I'm sure they'll have flashbacks because the game has a lot of them. I have a lot of thoughts, man. I want to ramble about the show. I care about these characters. They mean a lot to me. It's a great game. There are 2 great games. It never needed a second chapter or a second story. It's fulfilling what the second chapter needs to fulfill, though, is consequences for actions, which again, we talked about the complete opposite in the studio. The Last of Us, there's a consequence for everything. I'm fully on board. I think they're doing a really good job with what's going to come in the future weeks. I think they're doing a better job at making it just a more tangible story. I'm not as shocked because in 2020 playing the game, you're just shocked by Joel's death. It just rips your heart out and you don't want to play the game anymore, you know? And this, I think maybe having that buffer for me has been awesome. So I can be like, all right, they did Joel's death. Let's get on with the story now. Let's improve it. So I'm ready to see them improve it and keep pushing the story forward.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a show we're going to be watching very intently week to week. So, what's the Palpatine line? We'll watch your progress with great enthusiasm.
Right,
It's
right.
something like that. So,
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, those are the final thoughts I have on this episode. Not a ton for me to really talk about this episode, just some kind of key points here and there. Yeah, any final thoughts here?
Joel not being as brutal or as portrayed as villainous. Ellie not being as badass yet. I think she's going to find her way to being a badass and find her way into being like this psycho killer, lesbian, hobo, murder, rampage machine. It was pretty funny where Dina was telling her Northwest. That's your chart, Northwest.
Yeah.
In your Converses too. So it's cool to see Dina being a little bit older than her. I think we can infer by how the actors look and how the characters are portrayed, kind of leading her along. Dina's pregnancy, Ellie's probably going to develop into more of a murder and vengeance machine, and her insisting in the city council meeting that she's not doing this for revenge.
Yeah, give me a
not
fucking
at all.
break.
Not at all. You know, she's just doing this so you can count
It's not
on
revenge,
her.
it's justice.
It's justice, right? And so I'm curious to see where Tommy comes into play. But I like where the characters are at, where they're not just these natural, you know, you're the player in the video game, so you're as good as you play. You know, you take down as many wolves as you want in the game. I like that they're much more people, where you can only get to a certain point of being just, they're not going to John Wick their way through it like we would in the video game. I like that there's going to be real struggle in trying to get to Abby and kill her.
That is one thing I was thinking is a couple things, but Ellie's going to have a hell of a time fucking getting through that
Right.
big ass
She's
militia.
a Terminator in the game.
Yeah.
She is. She's terrifying.
She's going to have a big time getting through all like this huge wolf militia in Seattle.
Great
Also,
closing shot.
how the fuck did they get all that stuff? Like the big ass like Humvee tank things are like brand new and not dirty or anything. I'm like, it's supposed to be like a post-apocalyptic world where everything's old and run down and we're like piecing shit together. And
Yeah,
there's just
who
like a bunch of-
designed the logo? You know, who took the time for all this stuff?
Yeah.
Like, they're
Yeah.
very well established up there. Good for
yeah,
them.
just where did they get all this like super high-tech military equipment. Like, where do they get all of this? It looks like it's brand new, not a scratch on any of it. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll get that explained, but I don't know. That was one of my like weird nitpicks.
Jeffrey Wright's in the next episode.
Oh, okay.
Dude is going to fit like a glove into
Sure.
this show. He's
Yeah.
just made, it's just a no-brainer. Like, yeah, Jeffrey Wright belongs in this show. Seeing the previews for next week, I'm so excited for what they're going to do next week. It's going to push Ellie and Dina forward, and it's going to push Seattle forward as a character in the background. Seattle very much becomes an integral part in the middle of the story. And adding Jeffrey Wright, just a no-brainer to me. Just fits.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll definitely watch the episode next week and give our thoughts then. But that's all I've got for you this week. So yeah, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd. Follow us at the Cinema Cult Podcast. Follow Dante and I on Letterboxd. And yeah, we'll have another episode out for you guys really soon. Like and subscribe on YouTube, all that good stuff. We'll see you later.